announcement. The meeting is being recorded. Please don't share or say anything you don't want broadcast on YouTube. Any items that are attached to our agenda or discussed at the meeting, if there's a paper copy, is available through the finance department. I'd like to get a motion to approve the agenda, please. Jill, on your motion.
Aye.
Christy,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
and Richard.
Aye.
I'm an aye, carries unanimously. We'll make one adjustment to the agenda in a moment. I don't see any members of the public here, so there will be no public comment taken. Minutes, potential adoption of the minutes, August 18th and September 8th. Can I get a motion to adopt the minutes?
So moved.
Jill, on your motion?
Aye.
Christy,
Abstain.
abstain. Jason,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
and I'm an abstention. So that carries. Let's see, Rory, ranking of relative importance, discussion and data input. We'll move that down to later in the meeting after we speak with department heads. Next item is discussion of finance supported reporting, which is the capital projects, basically a revenue expense report. I'll just give a quick recap on this. So in the past, it's been some time, but we asked for it, is a report on the status of any open capital projects. I met with finance, Brian and Sue, and town admin, Rick. And what we're going to do is get a report at a later date, not too far off, and we'll work it into one of our flex dates. You guys will get a copy of it in advance, simply for a discussion of, where are we, what's going on, are there any things we might have missed in a project request? Is there supplemental required? A variety of topics, open discussion. I don't anticipate it'll be a lengthy discussion, but we'll see what the projects are and we'll go from there. Any questions on that topic or comments? Okay, great. Report writing work group update and action items. I anticipate, just because we're transitioning over to a different method of delivering the report, which is to say specifically membership versus one member, that I'll keep these items on until we kind of finalize them. It'll just be kind of a reminder for me, facilitating the meetings and as a tracking item. One of the items we have was to add a comments and footnotes field to the database. That's a high priority. Just for simple reference, what we're looking at is a comments column and a footnotes column for both Appendix A and Appendix B. We identified Appendix B requiring its own footnote column when I met with finance and town admin yesterday, and we discussed this Plum involvement. So that is moving forward. 2 of the columns have been established in the database. They will be ready for us to be using, I presume, at our next meeting or shortly thereafter. Those comment column, the comment and footnote columns will be filled during the course of a regular meeting by the individual of the work group who's responsible for content of the report, which we'll get into in a moment. And simply put, we'll have those available to us when we get to the report writing a portion of our responsibility, and they can just be drafted into the proper locations in the report. So a little bit of informational for us, a little bit of kind of just maintenance. Let's see, template report for the work group timely delivery. So as I said, had a meeting yesterday. We discussed Plum producing as much of the report as it can through the database, where much of the information is repurposed from. Great meeting. Looks like Plum will be taking that on in short order. There'll be a follow-up meeting I'll continue to be involved in as we transition to this new approach. On the new approach, and I'll take questions after. On the new approach, basically what we've determined to do, and we had 3 volunteers sign up, would be that the report would be provided by a work group. For me, this breaks down into content, presentation, and schedule. 3 basic elements and 3 basic areas of responsibility. Conveniently, we have 3 members of the work group. So I'm going to pick victims, and we'll go from there since you all have already volunteered. On the content, Richard, I'd like to assign that to you. I'll be working with you on that to try and, develop whatever narrative portion, anything that is not necessarily filled from the template. Presentation, Christy, that'll be you. So the report will come out from the database in hopefully a format that is largely in keeping with what we've provided in the past to the Finance Committee and the Select Board and to the community. To the extent it's not, my intention is that the format of the files we use will be manipulable in a word processing document, so we can basically make them kind of pretty easier on the eye, easier to just have information flow as you're reading through it, right down to page numbers and whatnot. And then schedule, Jill, will be, it sounds like the easiest, but it's not. Schedule will be your responsibility for this budget season. On all of these, basically we're looking at, well, firstly, my tenet is not to micromanage, it's beneficial neglect. I find that works quite well. So while we're not reinventing the wheel, you'll have something to work from, and you can, basically each area of responsibility, the member should review the report, determine what you believe is going to be required to fulfill your particular area of responsibility, and I'm available for questions or comments or anything you need. Lastly, on this matter, I think it's important, you all know, on the fun-filled side of this, as a individual who's volunteered this season, you will get to pick from the other members who have not worked on a report, who will replace you next season if you so wish. So that'll give you an opportunity to pick somebody. More importantly, it'll give everyone who's on the committee an opportunity to be involved. This is a very fundamental aspect of what we do. It's an important aspect of what we do. It's really the fruition of our work. So I think it'll be a good process for us to be involved in. And with that, I'll just take any, I realize it's a lot, but I wanted to try and condense it down. We've got a lot of ground to cover this morning. If there's any questions or comments or concerns. Okay, good. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. 100%. Yep.
You guys good?
Sorry, I don't think I understand on the footnotes. Who's gonna write that? Are we all gonna?
Richard is going to be responsible for content, so he'll pick up footnotes and general comments. We're not going to leave him dangling in the wind on that. As a facilitator of the meeting, I'll call out to Richard, hey, we've got a footnote. Footnotes are primarily going to be with respect to what the source of funding is or things along those lines. Comments will be more things we want to track during the course of the review process. Good. Good. All right, so we've covered those 3 elements of the report. We have RLN Home and IT departments, and we're going to do a revisit want to comment. Who would we like to start with this morning? Who's prepped? Michelle?
Yeah, I can start.
Good morning. Welcome to the Capital Program Committee.
Good morning. Thank you all for meeting with me this morning. Thank you, Christy, also for having that meeting the other day, beneficial for all of us. So I'm here to present the request for a replacement van for our island home. We are looking to replace the current van that we've had for about, and forgive me, I'm estimating this 15 to 20 years now. It is a van that we take the residents out for enjoyable rides, events that we coordinate outside, like the Whaling Museum for Christmas, other events that we take them to. The van that we currently have has a back lift that you utilize, which is a 4-foot lift off the ground. The new van that we're actually looking at is level to the ground, is easier access, a little bit easier for those who have to walk on. There's no stairs involved. It's just a straight ramp right up into the vehicle. This is a vehicle that we are also looking to move with us to the new facility. As we all know, we're looking forward. This is something that would come with us and would be beneficial with that move as well.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Did anyone not receive the information Christy provided and the imagery? Okay, just wanted to check on that. And then thank you for that, Christy.
Yep.
I think operation, I just want to caution, I don't think it's an issue, but it could kind of bloom into one in future if we kind of expand with the liaisons, is if anyone who'd like to submit comments, they're certainly encouraged, but please do so through Sue so that they can then be forwarded to the membership in observance of the open meeting law. No big deal. I don't want to, make too fine a point of it, but I do want to take the opportunity to point it out. On the particular topic, questions that Michelle's presented, Richard?
Just a couple of questions. Will the bus be purchased through the state purchasing contract?
So I do believe we did look into this. I actually worked with Lauren Sinatra to looking at a lead possible vehicle, but they still have that high ramp. I will have to double check that for you, Richard. While I'm presenting, I would have to double check that this is through the contracted. I do believe we did look through that though. Peter Holden, the administrator, actually did the footwork on this, getting the proposal for this. So I will verify that information for you.
How long is the price that's quoted there good until?
He didn't give us an end date, the gentleman, and we did advise him that there's a process to this, that it had to be presented to the capital committee, that we are looking to purchase this in FY24 as well, which meant that we couldn't do anything before July 1 of 2023.
Okay,
And he
are
was
these
aware of that.
vehicles available now?
Yes. In fact, he was willing to bring one to us to do a test drive. So when you think about the cobblestones and the low clearance on the vehicle, before we go through with the full purchase, we would do a test drive of this vehicle.
Okay, last question. Is the quote, does the quote include a markup over, for lack of a better term, the sticker?
I would have to get back to you on that. I don't believe it does, but I will double check that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, any other questions? Christy?
Michelle, I forgot to ask if the purchase for the vehicle includes the lift.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And then my other question was, I think as a comment, I think I forgot to mention to the committee that there was, I think the old one, that there's something you mentioned, something about the air conditioning not working. Is that right?
So while it does have air conditioning, it runs at the back, and the occupants that sit in the back actually get the heat from the compressor running. So it's not an effective system to have running for the residents.
Any other questions, Christy? That's a no, I guess. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. Anyone else? All right.
Yes.
Looks like my only comment, Michelle, is that it looks like it's more functional and therefore, very appropriate. And do you want to just touch on, are you prepared just to touch on your out-year request, realize for the maintenance? Very broadly.
Yeah, I think broadly the out years would be any improvements that we need to make to the building themselves. So possibly the new patio out front. So we have a patio, as you all know, for that view. that's going to need some repair in the next few years, knowing that the residents will be utilizing that in the future until we do make that move. And thinking about any improvements that we would make, I don't have any specific other than that patio at this time. These would be knowing that the building needs to maintain its life for any future occupants and the quality of life for the residents that are in here for the meantime that we're here.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, any other questions for Michelle at this point? All right, Michelle, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Be reviewing these and putting them into our process and making a recommendation in December.
All right. Thank you all for your time. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have IT. Hi, Karen.
Good morning. How is everyone today?
I think we're doing well. Welcome to Capital Program Committee.
Thank you.
could- Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, you go.
Oh, I was just going to say, you can start as you will, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so my FY24 requests are fairly basic. They're just regular recurring charges for both our infrastructure and our replacement of town computers, which we do every year. The replacement of town computers is requesting an increase to $69,000. This will take into consideration increases, anticipated increases on an annual basis for equipment. We are looking at an unanticipated 20% increase for the Intel chips. We're hoping that the amount we're asking for next year will cover that anticipated increase. We're working on that right now. There will be in one of the out years, there's going to be a bump in this amount at some point in 2 or 3 years, because several years ago we went through a major upgrade project of the operating system. But we'll have those numbers next spring when we start working on the next cycle for the budget. For infrastructure, it's an annual $50,000 to take care of switches, server warranties, all of our major infrastructure expenditures to keep the network running. So we don't really have anything, new to request for next year.
Okay. Questions for Karen at this point? All right, Karen, why don't you move on to your next item?
I kind of just did both of them.
Oh, you did them both together? Sorry.
Yeah.
I was just thinking in my head, we should just have her do both of them together. Okay, great. Well, that solved that.
But
That
next
solved
year-
Right.
that.
Yeah, because it's just recurring expenses this year. We don't have any new expenditures to request for FY24. So.
Okay, fair enough. You caught me looking at the next item on the agenda when I said that. Okay, great. Well, look, Karen, as you know the process well, we'll be going through. My comment is that I think IT is probably the least costly, but perhaps dollar for dollar or penny for penny, the most powerful return we have for all services related to the town being provided. So applaud your work in this, and it's nice to see where, despite the fact that the chip costs have gone up, it's still in the big picture incredibly manageable. It's almost, de minimis. So, it makes it a little bit easier. Thank you.
Wait, Stephen, one question.
Yeah, go ahead, Jill.
So if it's pretty routine, why does it go down as medium under priority?
I'm not sure I understand your point or your question.
Why does the priority say medium instead of high? Like the van is, or,
Oh, on the request? I'm sorry, I just wasn't sure what you were looking at. You're talking about the particular request. That's up
Yeah.
to the department head, and then, perhaps it's not like, I'll use the examples we have in front of us. The heater and the AC is running, the heater's running, the bus is in disrepair. It's got a high lift entry. So that's a high priority to that department head. Karen
it
has,
says medium.
the bus is a medium?
Yeah, also
Says-
medium.
Also medium.
They probably figure they can get by another year. if
If
they
they
needed to, yeah, and same thing with IT. I mean, if we don't replace this next year, we could probably patch it up for a year and get through. Not that it's not important, but I mean, I guess I can understand.
And,
Karen's-
Yeah.
if I may, Stephen,
Yeah,
if some may see it as, it's not an emergency,
Yeah,
but it's, this is
And
where we value our request, I guess. I don't.
and it's all in the
Yeah.
eye of the banker priority wise, which.
okay. We're going to hold off 1 second. I think Sue would like to speak. And then before then, I'd just like to say, I get it, but it would be great to ask these questions when the department head is here. I'm sorry, I apologize. I thought you were talking about Karen's request. Sue, go ahead.
Thank you. I think I know the answer to that question, but I will double check. I think those priority rankings come when Brian and Libby do the Rorys on their side, I think, but I will double check that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, my understanding, Sue, just so, we eventually all get on the same page, is that the department head inputs that, and then we see the department head's inputs along with the dollar cost and
Okay.
description. And then the town recommendation is where it's reflected whether it's something else. So not, we can work through it. I'd like to identify so we know as we're looking at these, whether it was input by the department head or not. Christie?
Karen, just a quick question. We've done it this way, it seems like for many, many, many years, updating our computers. Is there any sort of different way to do it that you might recommend, or something that, since you've been sort of running the department, maybe a thought or two on doing something differently, different equipment, or an alteration to how we've been doing it for many years?
Well, essentially what we have in place is a regular replacement rotation where we try to keep our laptops no more than 3 years and our desktops no more than 5 years. So this number that we come up with on an annual basis covers that scheduled rotation that we have of replacement computers. It's a regular process that's working very well for the town right now. We are, however, transitioning to more mobile devices, laptops, as we have, staff that works both remotely and on site, and they're mobile around town. So that changes the cost slightly because the cost of a laptop is slightly higher than a desktop. But overall, the replace town computer line item is fairly static, and it's standard practice for the industry. For the maintaining the network infrastructure, we are in the process of reevaluating that and determining if that is the best approach that we have. Is this regular monies every year, every year, I'm sorry, or if we should look at larger expenditures at less frequent intervals, and that's being evaluated right now. But as far as the town computers, it's an industry standard, and it's been working very well for us.
Very good. All right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Karen at this time? Okay, Karen, thank you for coming in.
Great, thank you very much.
Take care.
You too, bye.
All right. Sue, were you going to give an update on the Wanacomit storage building, or is that going to be?
I can actually, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Brian.
No problem. So,
Brian, I don't see it here.
Hang on, I'm getting there.
it's okay.
Can you see it now?
No, he can't see me. There we go. So we had a meeting when Sue was here with the water company, with Mark, the director, and discussed the storage building that he had put into an out year. And the issues with the fact that he's inventory outside in the elements, and he had originally essentially scheduled it in a way that he was going to pay for it with retained earnings in 3 or 4 years, and we discussed the importance of the building to its operations in terms of maintaining its inventory and its critical infrastructure outside of the elements. And we talked to him about the possibility of moving it into this year, using the same type of scenario that we use for the airport for a lot of the way that we fund a lot of their stuff initially is that they authorize borrowings for it and we issue a ban for cash flow purposes to finance the project. And then when it's completed, they subsequently appropriate retained earnings into the capital project fund to pay that ban down. As a way, rather than him waiting for four or more years to get that building. And one of the reasons that I recommended this to Mark and why I wanted to bring it forward is because he's storing an awful lot of critical infrastructure outside in the elements. And they've had to get rid of some of that, some of those pieces because they've been outside for a while and they're not really functional anymore. And to me, that is really not really a great way for us to be doing business. They are generating retained earnings, fairly substantial retained earnings on an annualized basis. So I know that he's planning on potentially using a substantial amount of them for potential construction of a house in the short term. By authorizing a borrowing, it would allow him to get a piece of infrastructure that I would say is very critical to maintaining the assets that we have, while allowing him ultimately to use retained earnings and not borrow it. So it has been moved up in the plan, if I am correct, if I remember correctly, Sue, right?
Yes, I should be screen sharing. Can anybody see that?
No,
No,
it's
Oh.
still
Really?
it's still on
Okay.
Island Home and
Hang one sec, let me try to do it,
yep.
I think.
So as Sue is doing that, Mr. Chair and members of the committee, it was my recommendation to Mark that he move it into this year and that we discussed it, the openness of the committee to consider it based on the fact that I think it makes some sense to do it this way.
Okay.
Would you change your priority?
Well,
Hi,
will I change my priority to high?
I mean, we changed it.
I will change that to high, absolutely.
Okay.
We'll change that.
Alex.
has good gravitas, that one.
Well,
Just one,
you just get nervous at the end when it's like, are we getting close to the number?
Brian, just while we're on the topic of medium, high or lukewarm, can you just clarify currently the prioritization we see is from department head or from finance?
It's strictly from the department heads and their I guess I would say their understanding of their needs and the prioritization. It's not finance, when they review, does not change the priorities, nor have we ever, but I will change this one since we're moving it forward as a recommendation for consideration into this year. They're the ones that really have made those decisions, not us.
Okay, fair enough on both counts. Appreciate the clarification, saves Sue some legwork. I think what I'd like to do is to move this forward is Sue, just to test your a plum with plum, perhaps you could bring up the request and we'll actually just take a quick look at it while we're here to see if anyone has any questions. I can give you the code number if you happen to be logged into Plum. If you're not logged into Plum, don't worry about it.
It'll take me 2 seconds.
Okay.
All
And
right,
then
so
Brian,
I'm
Nantucket
in.
capital request out order is fine?
Pardon
Nantucket
Excuse-
capital request?
excuse me.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Brian, I'd like to ask too that you put the funding mechanism that you talked about. If you'd be so kind as to enter that into a footnote field for the record. It'll just make it a little bit easier for everyone at this point.
me? I will do that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay.
So I
Any
do have it up, Stephen.
Okay, we don't see it.
No, you were gonna give me the project number. You just want to look at.
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
green Screen.
It's currently WANN -28-001,
Oh, we're looking for that one. I'm so sorry.
if I understand correctly. And then while you're looking that up, Brian, would you also, if you don't mind, or whomever, to go ahead and accelerate that to 24 alphanumeric code?
Yes,
We do that
I will see if we can do that, yeah.
later on.
Stephen, quick clarification.
Yeah,
Or
Peter.
So just curious to that point, because I was gonna ask, was this originally in an out year for 2028?
Yes.
It was, okay, and so we're accelerating this to move forward as quick as possible.
Yes. Or we're recommending.
Recommending,
At the
right.
discretion of the committee.
right,
ranking.
and obviously, Mark probably didn't provide thorough details because it was in an out year, but we have all the supporting data in Plum right now, which I'm looking at to get a good idea of the scope of it.
Yeah, so Sue, on that topic, PJ, if Sue, you could click to costs and funding.
It's like Irish span steel building, 900K, 50 by 100 by 18.
Yeah, so he provided a 2020 estimate, so it appears that that will need to be updated. He was using that as for the placeholder information for 2028. What I'd like to suggest is this: number one, does anyone feel subject to this information of cost being updated within the SIP request in the database? Does anyone feel the need to bring Mark in to discuss this, or would that be sufficient?
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. I trust Mark's got a pretty good handle on it. And I think the background information already on Plum is enough for my appetite.
I'm fine. I have a quick question, Brian might know.
Yep, Christie, go ahead.
Is it a full structure or is it just a covered structure?
Full, from my
Full,
understanding,
okay.
it's full structure.
Yeah, from the out year discussion we had while Mark was in, I think he was looking at a hybrid. Okay, so then with that consensus, what we'll just ask for, Sue, is that the estimate number be updated if there is an update, and then maybe just shoot a quick email out to the membership so they're aware of it and they can go in and do the Rory on it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Just,
Yeah, PJ?
Well, I was gonna say, I think the estimate was 500,000 from 2020, and the updated estimate is 950.
I've got
We've asked-
20, I
we've
mean,
asked
just
him
to
to
be
update it.
clear, I've got 2020, 500K building, 200K foundation and site work, and 200K engineering. So I think he
Okay,
went ahead and added 50 somewhere in there for the update.
Yeah.
So yes, your point taken, it could already be updated, I think is what you were saying. But we'll double check and we'll have it in the notes that it's a 2022 estimate, that's all.
Right.
Or if there's another source, we'll know what the source is. Okay, great. Christie?
I know we haven't formally voted on it, but we may have just set precedent for other storage facilities.
That other storage facility.
Well, I think,
Which one are you talking about?
Well, there's a few, I mean, there was
Are you
one at the
thinking
airport,
about
there's
the
one.
police and fire outbuilding? Is
Oh,
that-
no.
No, I wasn't even thinking of that one. You know, the DPW has been asking for one for a while, but you know.
yeah, I think your point is that the environmental degradation is a problem and this may be a precedent for preventing that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think that's been our position all along.
Structure's a little different.
Excuse me. I think it boils down to the cost.
They'll
So,
pay back.
yeah, it's always boiled down to cost.
It's not
Yeah.
strictly borrowed.
And then, yeah, how it's funded. So, yeah, I mean, I think our position is anyone's welcome to bring in a request as long as it's viable
Okay.
request, and we'll go from there.
Could be a
Okay.
good model for the next couple too.
Yeah.
If it's,
Hey, pay us back.
reasonable budget. Yeah, too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it can be cost effectively delivered, it's not a $3 million ask for the same structure. I think, what was the airport structure came in at? Christie, were you their liaison?
Yeah, I did, and that was, I don't know,
It wasn't orders of magnitude, but it was considerably more.
yeah,
Was that plumbed?
I don't recall.
Yeah, I don't recall either. Okay, well.
Wasn't the two
yeah.
fairgrounds one like 2 million plus? And that was a couple years ago?
I
thought it was
Four FG one,
Yeah,
that was close to 3 million,
close to 3. And that was a year or two ago. Yeah.
which we are working on updating.
All right. Next item, if we're all good. Yep, is Green Sheet Committee reports, anything from any of the our liaison, FinCom, Select Board. Okay, I'll note that my understanding is we do have a new member coming on board, NP and EDC liaison. It'll be Barry Rector. And I'd ask that Sue, perhaps if you could, I believe he has a town email address. And if we could get him on the email list for meeting notices, that'd be really great. Thank you. Good of the order. I touched on this earlier. Brian, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Mark just has informed me that that 950 estimate is from 4 months ago.
Oh, nice.
Okay, good to know. Good of the order. I touched on this earlier. Meeting time and attendance. I think to some extent, meeting day and time may be affecting our attendance. Clearly, the most important committee on the island for government work, and everyone is, racing to get in the door to be involved. So it must be the day and the time. So I'd like to put on our agenda for next week to reevaluate our meeting day and time. I'm not suggesting necessarily we're going to change it, but I think we should have a discussion about attendance, and why don't we bring it in the door under the heading of meeting time, day and time. Other than that, Richard?
Just a note, I didn't get an email, the weekly email notifying me of the meeting and the agenda items.
I'm sorry. I thought I sent it to everyone, so sorry.
Sue, you might check, this has happened to me in the past, if at some point town email addresses were created for members, and it may be, if that's the case. Richard, are you getting these at your personal email or?
Personal email, yeah.
Okay, so that may be it. Okay, thanks for mentioning that, Richard.
I'll double check.
Any other comments on good of the order, where we're headed, anything like that? Speak now or forever hold your peace until the next meeting.
Just curious for this meeting. So are we still doing our Rory's at the meeting?
Oh, thank you. I jumped over that because it was number 6.
Yeah, right. Should
yeah,
that be
if
at
we-
the end of the meeting?
Yeah, we have time. Let's do it now. If there's any questions, I mean, the idea here, again, I'll just repeat, is we've got time scheduled in our calendars. Getting the Rory's done timely is going to be really important. And this would be a wonderful opportunity to be here and finalize them with the benefit of any questions anyone may have. Does anyone have any questions on the Rory's? Okay. So as opposed to sitting here with no questions brought up on Zoom and quietly without a sign saying, hey, everyone's doing their Rory and explaining what that is, I would suggest that Jill, how many people are there? 3 members? You won't have a quorum. Okay, I was just going to suggest that we go ahead, adjourn the meeting, and people use this time to finish their Rory's. And I think we can do that as long as you guys there at the office space, the meeting room, don't discuss anything. So if everybody's good with that, I'll entertain a motion to, I'll say date of next meeting is next Thursday, the 29th at 10 a.m. and entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Excellent. Richard, on your motion.
Aye.
PJ? Christie?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
And myself. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Stephen.
Take care.